Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So a couple months ago, I finally got Minecraft on my laptop. So for this video, I thought it'd be interesting to make AI generated Minecraft terrain. I originally wanted it to be completely custom coded, but after a bit of researching, it seems like that the more conventional method is to use data packs, which are kind of like presets and settings that you can change and add to affect the world generation or other default Minecraft settings, which is pretty fitting for the AI to generate. I made a data pack, so now I create a world, which it didn't work. I was forced to do it the proper way and watched a couple of tutorials, and it seemed like ChatGPT gave me the wrong file names and extensions. So now with the fixed file names, I asked it to make a custom data pack that's interesting, which it came up with a sky archipelago, which didn't work. I fixed the problems in the data pack and then loaded the world, but it didn't really look any different than a normal world, or at least from what I could see. I then asked Chat to make the world more noticeably different, and it still didn't seem to work, especially since it said that it changed all the liquid to lava. Yeah. After some experimenting and searching, I managed to cobble together a dimension with the default basalt deltas and cherry grove biomes only. And this worked kinda well, surprisingly. And I was kinda happy just to see something work for once. I then replaced the overworld with this new dimension, so I don't have to teleport to the new custom dimension every time. I then asked Chat for another world, but it just gave me a dimension with a mix of the default swamp, jungle, and cherry grove biomes. Now, these weren't really what I was looking for, of course. A dimension with just default biomes that you could just find in normal Minecraft. I wanted to create completely different and custom world generation. So I asked Chat to make some custom biomes, and it came up with the custom Badlands and Luminous Forest biomes. I tried it out, and it is indeed custom. The custom Badlands is a little empty, and the Luminous Forest seems to be a point in the air with nothing nearby. I asked Chat to fix this, but it didn't work. I ended up switching to Claude and asked it to generate the Luminous Forest, and it actually worked a lot better. There were still problems in the code, but after a couple more prompts, they were fixed. And so we have the Luminous Forest biome, or I should say dimension, since this is the only biome. And it certainly is luminous, with glowstones everywhere, and these custom birch trees that have shroom lights. And apparently these sea pickles are supposed to be glowing mushrooms. I then changed the noise function for generating the terrain, and it resulted in this. It's kinda interesting, but I think the previous version fits better. Next, I asked Chat to give me a bunch of unique biome ideas with the corresponding structures using existing Minecraft blocks, since I have no idea how long it would take to make custom blocks, and that's too much effort for a video that'll only get a couple hundred views. So the next idea I decided to implement would be the Crystal Highlands. Towering jagged mountains filled with massive glowing crystal formations. The sky has a faint purple hue and the land is covered in blue tinted grass. And Claude ran out. And here is the Crystal Highlands. I think it certainly is a little more interesting than the Luminous Forest. The grass is different. The crystal trees are better than expected. And the water is a different color. It's not bad. I mean, not that I can expect too much from the AI. After all, I can't really generate perfect terrains. This is kind of what I expected. The next biome is the Eldertree Grove. A massive forest of ancient trees, each over 20 blocks tall, with wide twisting roots. The ground is covered in thick moss, and the air has floating spores, consisting of moss, podzol, dark oak logs, vines, hollowed out trees as natural houses, druid huts, elder trees with hollow trunks, and massive mushrooms. And looking at it, I'd say it has the same amount of success as the Crystal Highlands. The large mushroom is supposed to be the hollowed out tree, which is funny. The trees seem to just continuously grow on each other, and there's some roots hanging off of them. There's bluegrass, and the terrain is certainly different. Terrain noise function is certainly different. I then wanted to see if I could generate structures like houses. Currently the trees and other structures are kind of just built-in features that the AI uses and just changes around. And I can't really build a structure in the same way. I didn't really want to do this as it is more work. It didn't seem like it was possible to make it just completely generate custom structures from just data packs alone. So I ended up making the AI generate Minecraft functions that would generate these structures. And then in-game, I would call these functions and create these structures and convert these structures into files that my custom biome would then spawn. There's just a really big problem with this method, which is that I kind of get spoiled as to what these structures look like, which kind of sucks, but you know, I gotta do what I gotta do to get views. To the next biome, the Ashen Wastes. A land scorched by volcanic eruptions, filled with blackened, dead trees and lava rivers. Occasional ash storms reduce visibility, basalt, blackstone, magma blocks, and the custom structures are ruined villages and collapsed mines, charred trees, and geysers that periodically shoot fire. I don't think that's possible. And going into it, it certainly looks like there is some lava. I turned on spectator mode, and it seemed like everything was hidden under the lava. The underground caves kinda just look like the default cave system, except sometimes it is a little rougher. There's blackstone everywhere. Next I teleported to one of the structures, an abandoned mine, which is not really a mine. It has some ladders that goes vertically, but doesn't really have anything. Now, when I generated the structures through the functions, it gave me a couple of tunnels, but it seemed like the final product didn't spawn them properly, which is kinda expected. But there are some air blocks that I didn't get rid of, as you can see by the blocked lava, but in later structures I removed those air blocks. Next is the ruined village structure. It's kinda just a large square with some occasional blocks. There are some houses. There's bone blocks, I suppose for skeletons, gravel, soul soil. It reminds me of Pompeii. Not much to see on the inside, as it is just solid. Here are some of the individual houses that the village didn't really show. And onto the next biome. Sky Isles with floating islands above the clouds.
Connected by natural stone bridges and vines.
Blocks include endstone, grass. Structures include sky temples and lost altars. Windy trees with swirling leaves and floating lanterns.
And here we have it. Just endless endstone. No floating islands. I knew that was asking for too much. There's white concrete powder for what's supposed to be clouds, I think. And it spawns a bunch of phantoms, which is pretty funny since they burn in the sunlight. But no sky islands. For some reason, these structures spawn all the way up in the sky, which kind of fits the theme, I guess, but it's kind of just a bug. This is the Lost Altar, which has some diorite and endstone. The AI was pretty fancy and gave it some guardians, which I honestly didn't know it could even do. The guardians are Enderman, Vex, and Phantoms. They even got names like Ancient Guardian, Altar Watcher, and Altar Spirit. There's some lanterns and apparently invisible armor stands with end crystal effects, which I have no idea what it's cooking. There's some glow lichen that's supposed to be runes. Next up is the Sky Temple, which has a variety of defending mobs. There's a Shulker Box Guardian, some Vexes, and Temple Sentinels that are Vindicators, an Evoker, who is the Temple Mage, and an Illusioner, Temple High Priest, that is wearing a gold block for a helmet. Pretty funny looking fella. Now you might be wondering why there's some iron ingots lying there. That's because it originally spawned an iron golem to defend as well. The reward is a beacon, I suppose. I then later found the windy trees with swirling leaves and floating lanterns. It looks like a mishmash of several plant blocks and some lanterns. Honestly, probably one of my favorites so far. Next will be the last dimension I'm making, because it does take a while to fix all the bugs since the AI generated code isn't perfect. But this one is the one I put the most effort in, along with the most generated structures, which took a long time. I present to you
The Shifting Sands, a mystical desert biome where sand dunes constantly move, and remnants of ancient civilizations are buried beneath the surface. The terrain features slowly shifting sands, causing structures and objects to get partially buried over time. I'm gonna shift the sand up here.
The terrain generation was alright. It was all just underground, and you could see some interesting shapes. First off, we got some fossilized remains. Giant rib cages and skulls, bone blocks, sticking out of the dunes, some partially buried, requiring excavation. Skulk patches, and some hinting at long lost life. This is supposed to be the spine. It's just a bunch of bone blocks, and a little skull at the end. A little disproportionate. Also, there are no skulk patches in sight. There's also the ribcage and skulls that we'll see later. The Desert Waystone. Ancient waystone markers made of chiseled sandstone and red stone blocks can have suspicious sand near them containing loot. Some have campfires or torches marking an old traveler's camp. The camp seems to have a bunch of carpet that spawns in air, which just makes it drop. And here you can see I was prepared to fight the husks with a little bit of preparation. I never said I was good at the game. And I got curious about sleeping on the half bed, and although the overworld is replaced by the Shifting Sands biome, the dimension type is the Nether. Next is the Lost Traders Camp, with abandoned caravans and tents partially buried in sand. Contains loot chests with old trading goods, emeralds, gold, maps. Skeletons or stray husks lurk nearby, hinting at a lost caravan. There are no maps as promised though when going through the chests. And here's a ribcage with a chest on the inside. Then we have the Sunken Oasis, rare pools of water with palm trees, acacia plus jungle leaves, lush caves under them with vines and glowberries, hidden loot, and a small ruined well at the bottom. And there's some drip leaf and crystals, and a hidden chest. I kinda destroyed it a bit going through it. Here's what it would look like normally. And then we have the skull, which, yeah. Next is the Desert Temple, small collapsed temples with treasure rooms hidden beneath layers of sand, trap rooms with falling sand and dripstone pits, sometimes connected to underground chambers with lost artifacts. The top of it is just a bunch of walls for some reason. Well, there is an underground chamber with some stuff, and there are some traps down here, and these stairs that are in the middle are supposed to be the staircase to the bottom. Here's what it would look like normally. Wandering Spirit Shrine, a mystical structure made of sandstone and quartz, soul lanterns floating, giving a ghostly feel, suspicious sand piles with hidden loot, some have spawning husks or strays, lore of cursed wanderers. This one's not bad looking. It's kinda funny, it has the Steve head on it. Buried Obelisk. Large weathered sandstone pillars sticking out of the sand, some fully exposed, other half buried, inscribed with glow ink messages in skulk, lore-based text. Some have a hidden chest buried beneath containing treasure. But the buried treasure was a complete lie. And finally, we have the pyramid. And the pyramid has quite a lot of stuff. And a lot of mobs protecting it, which I did tell chat to deliberately add more. There's just mobs wandering around that protect the place. There's an ancient explosive, which is a charged creeper in the corner with some chests, and these chests next to the sarcophagus, which is just a bunch of gold blocks. The chests are connected to TNT, which I didn't know before that opening a chest could activate TNT. A spider section. And underneath is lava, which is, it's a not bad attempt. There's some hidden rooms. This one has a Keeper of the Riches with some loot just lying there. And some of the mobs are spawned inside of the walls of the pyramid that kinda just die. Then there's a secret room with Desert Champion, which is an illusioner with some vexes. There's some pretty good treasures. To the back is another secret room with the Ancient Pharaoh, which has a Steve head and is decked out with netherite armor. These boss mobs also have increased HP and stats. And just as I was about to go in after my slight preparation, I fell to the ground, and I had to get all the way back. And here's a playthrough of the pyramid. I would just say this in my defense, I'm not good at Minecraft. I'm no techno blade. I didn't encounter the ancient explosive for some reason. It took forever to kill the bosses with their increased HP. And yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Does that make me a Minecraft YouTuber now?